Dr. Zalani pressed her four-fingered hand against the communication console, her pale blue skin glistening with nervous sweat. The research station's main laboratory hummed around her, filled with delicate equipment that had taken 3 years to set up on this remote world. Now it might all be destroyed within hours. "Emergency transmission ready," announced her assistant, Korth, his reptilian features tight with worry. The young Saurian scales had shifted to a deep amber color, betraying his fear despite his calm voice. Zalani nodded and activated the broad-spectrum emergency beacon. Her voice carried across space, translated into dozens of languages by the station's communication array. "This is Research Station Kepler 442B calling any Galactic Council vessels in range. We are under immediate threat from hostile forces. Repeat, this is Dr. Zalani of the Alterian Science Consortium requesting emergency assistance. Our defensive capabilities are minimal. Please respond." The transmission burst outward at faster-than-light speeds, carrying their desperate plea across hundreds of star systems. On the main screen, sensor data showed the approaching threat, 12 armed ships moving in tight formation toward their defenseless research station. "How long before they arrive?" Zalani asked, though she already knew the answer would not comfort her. 6 hours, maybe 7 if we're lucky," replied Korth, his claws clicking nervously against his data tablet. "The nearest council patrol is 4 days away, according to our last intelligence report." Zalani's species, the Alterians, were known throughout the galaxy for their scientific achievements. They had developed faster-than-light communication, revolutionary medical treatments, and energy sources that powered half the known worlds. But they were also among the most peaceful species in the galaxy, having eliminated warfare from their society over 1,000 years ago. The research station itself reflected this peaceful nature. Built into the side of a mountain on Kepler 442b, it was designed for studying the planet's unique crystalline formations, not for withstanding armed attack. The facility's shields could barely stop a meteor shower, let alone military-grade weapons. "Have you identified the attackers?" Zalani asked, moving to the sensor station where Vix, their security specialist, was analyzing the incoming data. Vix belonged to a species called the Nexari, tall, thin beings with large eyes adapted for seeing in multiple light spectrums. Her natural abilities made her excellent at sensor operations, but even she looked troubled by what she was reading. "Pirate Confederation," from the ship configurations, Vix reported, her melodious voice carrying an unusual edge of concern. "Mixed fleet, some Corvin raiders, a few modified cargo haulers, and what looks like a stolen council frigate. They're broadcasting demands for our research data and any valuable materials." The pirates were likely after the station's discoveries about the planet's unique energy-conducting crystals. These crystals could revolutionize power storage technology, making them worth a fortune on the black market. The research team had been careful to keep their findings secret, but somehow word had leaked. "Send another emergency broadcast," Zalani ordered. "Full spectrum, maximum power. Someone has to be listening." As Korth worked to amplify their signal, Zalani moved to the station's small observation deck. Through the transparent aluminum windows, she could see the alien landscape of Kepler 442b stretching toward the horizon. The planet's twin suns cast strange purple shadows across formations of crystal that grew like trees from the rocky ground. It was beautiful, peaceful, and completely isolated. The nearest inhabited system was 6 days away by conventional faster-than-light travel. Even if the Galactic Council received their distress call immediately, help would arrive long after the pirates had taken everything of value and likely killed everyone who might testify against them. "Dr. Zalani," Vix called out, "I'm detecting something unusual. The emergency beacon is reflecting off something in the outer system. Another ship, but it's not registering on conventional sensors." Zalani hurried back to the sensor station. "Pirate Advanced Scout? No, the signature is all wrong. Too small to be a warship, but the energy output suggests advanced technology." And Vix paused, adjusting her instruments. "It's moving toward us, fast. faster than anything in our databases. A chill ran down Zalani's spine. First pirates, now an unknown vessel with capabilities beyond anything the Galactic Council possessed. This day was becoming worse by the hour. Could it be a Council Black project? Korth suggested hopefully. Some kind of experimental rescue vessel. The Council doesn't have black projects, Zalani replied absently, still studying the sensor data. They're too bureaucratic for secret programs. Everything has to be approved by 17 different committees. The unknown vessel continued its approach, its speed defying everything they knew about safe, faster-than-light travel. Most ships took hours to decelerate properly when entering a star system. This one was covering the same distance in minutes. New transmission coming in, Vix announced suddenly. It's from the unknown vessel. Put it through, Zalani ordered. The voice that came through their speakers was unlike anything they had heard before. It had a rough, aggressive quality that suggested a species accustomed to conflict, but underneath that roughness was something else, determination and perhaps compassion. Research Station Kepler, 442b. This is the human vessel Defiant response. We received your distress call. We're en route to your position, and we'll arrive in approximately 40 minutes. Please transmit details of your situation and defensive capabilities. Humans. Zalani exchanged glances with her colleagues. They had heard of humans, of course, the newest species to achieve faster-than-light travel, originally from a planet called Earth. But they were from the galactic rim, far from civilized space. What was a human ship doing in this region? Transmit our status, Zalani told Korth, then activated the communication system herself. Human vessel Defiant response. This is Dr. Zalani. We appreciate your response, but you should know we're facing 12 armed pirate vessels. We don't want to put you in unnecessary danger. The human's laugh was short and harsh. Doctor, where we come from, 12-to-1 odds, just means we don't have to aim too carefully. We'll be there soon. Prepare your people for possible combat maneuvering. The transmission ended, leaving the research team in stunned silence. Korth was the first to speak. Combat maneuvering? They're planning to fight 12 pirate ships with a single vessel. Humans are from a death world, Vix said quietly, pulling up what little information their databases contained about humanity. Their planet, the conditions there are classified as barely survivable by Council standards. High gravity, violent weather, dangerous predators, and they evolved as pursuit hunters. Zalani read over Vix's shoulder. Earth's gravity was nearly twice that of most civilized worlds. Its weather systems included phenomena called hurricanes and tornadoes that could level cities. The planet's ecosystem was so competitive that most species had evolved complex defense mechanisms just to survive. They evolved on a planet where everything was trying to kill them, Zalani murmured. No wonder they think they can fight a dozen pirates. On the sensor display, the human ship continued its impossible approach while the pirate fleet drew steadily closer. In less than an hour, this peaceful research station would become a battleground between forces that neither side fully understood. Zalani looked around at her team, peaceful scientists who had never seen combat, about to witness what happened when the children of a death world answered a call for help. She wondered if they were about to be saved, or if they had simply attracted an even more dangerous predator. Through the observation deck windows, the first of the twin suns was setting, casting the crystal formations in deep red light that looked disturbingly like blood. Whatever happened next, Zalani realized it would change everything they thought they knew about the galaxy and their place in it. The human ship's approach continued, its energy signature growing stronger with each passing minute. Soon, they would learn what it truly meant when humanity heard a cry for help. The human ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel with a violence that made the research station's sensors scream warnings. Most civilized species approach star systems gradually, allowing their ships to slowly adjust to local space-time conditions. The humans had instead performed what their databases called a combat drop, an extremely dangerous maneuver that brought them from faster-than-light speeds to sublight in mere seconds. Impossible, Vix whispered, staring at her instruments. The gravitational stresses alone should have torn their ship apart. Dr. Zalani watched through the observation deck as the human vessel became visible to the naked eye. It was smaller than she had expected, perhaps a third the size of the largest pirate ship. But something about its design made her nervous. Where Galactic Council ships were built for efficiency and comfort, this vessel looked like it had been designed by someone who expected to be shot at regularly. The ship's hull was covered in what appeared to be reactive armor plating, and weapon ports dotted its surface like the eyes of some predatory creature. It moved through space with a fluid grace that spoke of advanced maneuvering systems, but also with the calculated precision of something that spent its time hunting. "Human vessel, this is Dr. Zalani," she transmitted. "The pirate fleet is approximately 20 minutes behind you. Are you certain you want to engage? Your ship appears to be significantly outnumbered." The response came back immediately, and this time she could hear multiple voices in the background, a crew preparing for battle with the kind of efficiency that suggested they had done this before. "Doctor, this is Captain Sarah Chun of the Defiant Response. We're not here to run away from pirates. We're going to make them regret threatening civilians. Please move your station to minimum power and seal all external compartments. This might get rough." Korth looked up from his console with wide eyes. "The pirate fleet is hailing us. They're demanding we surrender immediately or they'll destroy the station." "Put them through," Zalani said, though her attention remained focused on the approaching human ship. The pirate commander's voice filled the research station speakers, a harsh, grating sound that belonged to one of the Corvin species. The Corvins were among the few galactic species that had not entirely eliminated aggression from their society, making them natural pirates and mercenaries. "Alterian scientists, you will shut down all systems and prepare to be boarded. Resist, and we will turn your pathetic research station into space debris. You have 5 minutes to comply." Before Zalani could respond, Captain Chin's voice cut across the communication channel with a tone that could have frozen liquid hydrogen. "Corvin vessel, this is Captain Chin of the human ship Defiant Response. You are threatening civilians under the protection of the Galactic Council. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." The pirate commander's laughter was ugly and dismissive. "One ship against our entire fleet? Human, your species is new to the galaxy. You clearly don't understand how things work out here. Surrender now, and we might let you live as slaves." "You're right," Captain Shin replied, and Zalani could hear something terrifying in her voice, a calm, cold satisfaction that suggested the pirate had just made exactly the mistake she had been hoping for. "We are new to the galaxy. That means you have no idea what you're dealing with." The human ship suddenly accelerated, moving faster than anything the research station sensors had ever tracked. It closed the distance to the pirate fleet in seconds, opening fire with weapons that lit up space like a miniature star. Zalani had seen Council military exercises before. They were precise, calculated affairs where ships maneuvered carefully and fired warning shots before engaging in actual combat. What she witnessed now was something entirely different. The human ship moved like a living thing, rolling and spinning through space while maintaining a devastating rate of fire. Its weapons didn't just damage the pirate ships. They tore through armor plating and hull materials as if they were paper. The lead pirate vessel, a converted cargo hauler 3 times the size of the human ship, simply came apart under the assault. "How are they doing that?" Vix breathed, her large eyes fixed on the sensor displays. "Their power output is off the charts, but their ship is too small to carry weapons of that magnitude." Korth was frantically analyzing the combat data streaming across his screens. "They're using some kind of compressed energy storage system. The power density is unlike anything in our databases. And their maneuverability, they're pulling gravitational forces that should crush any living crew." Dr. Zalani watched in fascination and horror as the human ship danced between the remaining pirate vessels, its weapons cutting precise lines of destruction through the enemy formation. But what disturbed her most was the efficiency of it all. There was no wasted motion, no unnecessary destruction. The humans were systematically disabling the pirate ships, with surgical precision. They're not trying to destroy the entire fleet, she realized aloud. They're targeting specific systems, weapons, engines, life support. They want prisoners. The pirate commander's voice returned to the communication channel, but this time it was filled with panic instead of arrogance. What are you? Those weapons, that maneuvering. You're not using standard galactic technology. Captain Chen's response came as her ship crippled another pirate vessel with a precise shot to its engine core. We're human. We come from a world where everything tries to kill you from the moment you're born. Fighting is what we do best. The battle was over in less than 10 minutes. Of the 12 pirate ships, 7 were completely disabled. 3 had been destroyed when their crews chose to fight rather than surrender, and 2 had managed to escape in a faster-than-light travel, likely to spread word of what they had witnessed. The human ship approached the research station slowly, its weapons powered down, but still radiating heat from the recent combat. Captain Chen's voice came through the communication system, now carrying none of the cold menace it had held during the battle. Research Station Kepler, 442b. This is the defiant response. Threat neutralized. Are you injured? Do you require medical assistance? Dr. Zalani found her voice after several seconds of shocked silence. We're fine, Captain. But how did you? Your ship is so much smaller than theirs. Size isn't everything, Doctor. May we come aboard? I'd like to make sure you're all safe, and we should probably discuss what just happened. An hour later, Dr. Zalani stood in the research station's main docking bay, waiting to meet the beings who had just saved their lives. The airlock cycled open, and Captain Sarah Chun stepped through, followed by 2 crew members. Zalani had expected humans to be larger, more intimidating given their combat effectiveness. Instead, Captain Chun was barely taller than an average Altarian, with dark hair and intelligent brown eyes that seemed to take in everything at once. She moved with a fluid grace that spoke of perfect physical conditioning, but there was nothing overtly threatening about her appearance. It was only when Zalani looked closer that she began to understand. The captain's muscles were dense and compact, adapted for the high gravity of Earth. Her bones were thicker than those of any galactic species, evolved to withstand crushing forces. And her eyes, those brown eyes, held the alert awareness of a predator that had spent millions of years at the top of the food chain. Dr. Zalani, I presume? Captain Chun extended her hand in what Zalani recognized as a human greeting gesture. I am Sada Chen. This is my weapons officer, Lieutenant Torres, and my engineer, Petty Officer Kim. Zalani carefully took the offered hand, surprised by the strength in the human's grip. Captain Chun, I can't begin to express our gratitude. The way you handle those pirates, I've never seen anything like it. Standard anti-piracy operation, Captain Chin said with a modest shrug. Though I admit, most pirates don't field that many ships at once. They were either very confident or very desperate. Confident, Korth said, joining the group. They knew the nearest council forces were days away. They thought they could take what they wanted and disappear before anyone could respond. They didn't count on us being in the neighborhood, Lieutenant Torres added with a grin that showed very white teeth. Lucky for you, unlucky for them. Dr. Zalani studied the humans more carefully. They seemed friendly enough, even cheerful, but there was something about them that made her nervous. They spoke of the violent battle they had just fought as casually as she might discuss a routine experiment. If you don't mind me asking, she said carefully, what brings a human ship to this region of space? According to our records, your territory is quite far from here. Captain Chin's expression became more serious. We're part of the Colonial Defense Force. We're exploring potential colony sites and establishing relationships with peaceful species. When we picked up your distress call, we couldn't just ignore it. But surely you must have known it was dangerous, Vix interjected. Why risk your ship and crew for strangers? Captain Chin looked genuinely puzzled by the question. Because you needed help. Where we come from, you don't turn your back on someone in trouble, even if you don't know them. The simple honesty in her voice struck Dr. Zalani with unexpected force. These humans, these children of a death world who could destroy a pirate fleet without breaking a sweat, had risked their lives for beings they had never met simply because it was the right thing to do. As she looked at Captain Chun and her crew, Dr. Zolani began to realize that the galaxy was about to learn something important about humanity. They were not just another species with advanced technology. They were something entirely new, beings who had evolved in hell and chosen to become heroes. Dr. Zolani led the human crew through the research station's corridors, still trying to process what she had witnessed. The humans moved with a constant awareness of their surroundings that spoke of ingrained survival instincts. Yet they also showed genuine interest in the station's scientific equipment and discoveries. These crystal formations are remarkable, Captain Shin observed, studying a display case containing samples of the planet's unique energy-conducting crystals. The molecular structure looks almost organic. They are, in a way, Zolani explained, grateful for the return to familiar scientific territory. The crystals appear to be formed by microscopic organisms that concentrate and organize mineral deposits. We believe they might represent an entirely new form of life. Lieutenant Torres whistled low, examining the crystal with professional interest. No wonder the pirates wanted them. These could revolutionize power storage across the galaxy, which is exactly why we've been keeping our research confidential, Korth added, joining the conversation. Unfortunately, someone leaked information about our discoveries. Petty Officer Kim, the engineer, looked up from a scanning device she had been running over the crystal samples. Captain, these readings are off the charts. The energy density is incredible, and the resonance patterns suggest they might be capable of faster-than-light communication without the usual temporal delays. Captain Chin nodded thoughtfully, then turned to Dr. Zolani. Doctor, I need to ask you some difficult questions. How did the pirates know about your research? And, more importantly, are there more of them coming? Before Zolani could answer, alarms began blaring throughout the station. Vix's voice echoed over the communication system, tight with fear. Dr. Zolani, report to the sensor station immediately. We have a problem. A big problem. The group hurried to the station's command center, where Vix stood over her instruments with an expression of barely controlled panic. The main display showed space around the planet, dotted with new contacts that hadn't been there an hour ago. 37 ships, Vix reported, her melodious voice strained. They just dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system. The energy signatures matched the pirate vessels that escaped earlier, but the fleet composition suggests this is a major pirate confederation. Captain Chun studied the display with professional calm, but Zolani could see tension building in her posture. Time to arrival? 4 hours at current speed, Vix answered. But, Captain, some of those ships are massive. Several are converted military vessels that appear to have been stolen from various galactic navies. The largest one registers as a former Council dreadnought. The humans exchanged glances that communicated volumes without words. Lieutenant Torres spoke first, his earlier cheerfulness replaced by grim calculation. A dreadnought changes everything. Our ship is fast and well-armed for its size, but it's not designed to fight capital ships. The Defiant response was built for hit-and-run operations against pirates and raiders, Captain Chun explained to the assembled scientists. We can handle small fleets of converted civilian vessels, but a military dreadnought that's designed to fight other military vessels. Dr. Zolani felt her hopes crashing. Then, we need to evacuate. How many people can your ship carry? Standard crew complement is 40, Petty Officer Kim answered. We can squeeze in maybe 20 more in emergency conditions, but not comfortably. There are 63 researchers and support staff on this station, Korth said quietly. The mathematics were simple and brutal. Even if they could somehow fit everyone aboard the human ship, it would be overcrowded and vulnerable, and that assumed they could escape before the pirate fleet arrived. Captain Chun moved to Vix's sensor station, studying the incoming fleet with the focused attention of a predator evaluating threats. Show me the tactical breakdown. Ship types, weapon configurations, anything you could determine about their capabilities. Vix manipulated her controls, displaying detailed analysis of the approaching vessels. 12 light raiders, 8 medium frigates, 10 heavy cruisers for converted cargo haulers that appear to be carrying fighter craft, 2 military destroyers, and the Dreadnought. Total estimated crew complement around 8,000. 8,000 pirates, Lieutenant Torres muttered. Someone's been very busy organizing the local criminal element. Dr. Zalani watched Captain Shun as the humans studied the tactical display. The woman's face showed no fear, only intense concentration as she analyzed the problem. Finally, she turned to address the gathered scientists. Doctor, I need you to gather all your research data and prepare it for immediate transfer to our ship. Everything about the crystals, your analysis methods, all of it. But the evacuation dash, Zalani began. There won't be an evacuation, Captain Shun said firmly. My ship can't carry everyone, and even if it could, that dreadnought would catch us before we could escape the system. We're going to have to make our stand here. Korth's scales shifted to deep amber again. But you said yourself your ship can't fight a dreadnought. No, it can't, Captain Shun agreed. Which is why we're not going to fight it ship to ship. We're going to use the station and the planet itself as force multipliers. She moved to the main tactical display, calling up schematics of the research station and surrounding terrain. This facility is built into a mountain, correct? How deep does it go? 3 levels, Zalani answered, not understanding where this was leading. The main research areas, administrative sections, and the deep storage levels where we keep our most sensitive equipment. And the mountain itself? Composition, stability, geological features. Vix pulled up geological surveys of the area. Primarily crystalline formations interspersed with metallic ores. Very stable, but the crystal networks conduct energy extremely efficiently. Captain Shin studied the data for several minutes, then smiled with an expression that made Dr. Zalani's blood run cold. It was the smile of a predator that had just figured out how to turn a trap into an ambush. Lieutenant Torres, contact the ship. I want Ensign Martinez and her engineering team down here with a full complement of explosives and mining charges. Also bring the portable shield generators and every spare weapon we have. Aye, Captain, Torres replied, activating his personal communicator. Petty Officer Kim, I need you to analyze these crystal formations. Specifically, I want to know if we can use them to create an energy cascade effect. If we can channel enough power through the network. Kim's eyes widened as she understood what the captain was suggesting. You want to turn the entire mountain into a weapon. I want to turn the entire planet into a weapon, Captain Shin corrected. Doctor, how extensive are these crystal networks? Do they connect across large distances? Dr. Zalani consulted her research data, her mind racing to keep up with the humans' tactical thinking. They extend across continents. We believe they may be part of a planet-wide organism or at least a connected ecosystem. But, Captain, the energy levels required to cause a cascade effect would be enormous, Captain Shin finished. But your research station has been studying these crystals for 3 years. You must have developed methods for energizing them, conducting experiments. We have, Korth said slowly, but nothing on the scale you're suggesting. The amount of power required would be equivalent to a ship's main reactor operating at full capacity. Captain Chen's smile became even more predatory. Then, it's lucky we brought one with us. Over the next hour, Dr. Zalani watched in fascination and growing horror as the humans transformed her peaceful research station into a fortress. Additional crew members arrived from their ship, carrying weapons and equipment that seemed far too advanced for a simple colonial vessel. The humans moved with the practiced efficiency of people who had done this before, many times. They positioned defensive barriers with an understanding of fields of fire and tactical positioning that spoke of extensive combat experience. They studied the station's layout not as visitors, but as defenders calculating the best ways to channel attackers into kill zones. Captain, Dr. Zalani finally asked, what exactly is the Colonial Defense Force? Your crew seems remarkably well trained for explorers. Captain Chun looked up from the tactical planning station where she was coordinating with her team. Doctor, humanity spent most of its history fighting for survival. We didn't have the luxury of eliminating warfare from our society because our planet kept trying to kill us. When we finally reached the stars, we discovered the galaxy was more peaceful than we expected, but we also discovered there were still predators out there. She gestured toward the approaching pirate fleet on the sensor display. The Colonial Defense Force exists to protect human colonies and anyone else who needs protecting. We're not conquerors or aggressors. We're guardians. The galaxy is a dangerous place for peaceful species, and someone needs to stand between them and the things that hunt in the dark. Lieutenant Torres approached with a data tablet. Captain, defensive positions are established. Engineering reports they can have the crystal network ready for cascade induction in 2 hours. And the evacuation tunnels? Cut and ready. If this goes badly, we can get the research team to the backup site in the northern mountains. Captain Chen nodded, then turned back to Dr. Zalani. Doctor, I won't lie to you. This is going to be dangerous. We're outnumbered and outgunned, and we're attempting something that's never been tried before. But I've seen what happens when pirates like these get their hands on advanced technology, and I've seen what they do to civilian populations. She looked out through the observation deck windows at the peaceful crystal formations stretching toward the horizon. Your research here could change the galaxy for the better. We're not going to let them take it. Dr. Zalani realized she was looking at something unprecedented in galactic history. Humans were the first species to achieve spaceflight while retaining their warrior instincts, the first to combine advanced technology with the survival skills forged on a death world. They were guardians who had appointed themselves protectors of species that had forgotten how to fight. As the pirate fleet continued its approach, Dr. Zalani wondered if she was about to witness the birth of a legend, or the last stand of the galaxy's newest guardians. The pirate fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel like a swarm of angry insects, their ships spreading across space in a formation designed to intimidate rather than optimize tactical advantage. Dr. Zalani watched from the research station's reinforced command center as 37 vessels arranged themselves around the planet, their weapons powered and locked onto the facility. Captain Chun stood beside her, studying the enemy deployment with the calm focus of someone reading a technical manual. The human captain had spent the last 2 hours transforming the research station into something Dr. Zalani barely recognized. A fortress bristling with defensive positions and connected to a network of crystal formations that now hummed with barely contained energy. They're not taking us seriously, Captain Chen observed, pointing to the tactical display. Look at that formation. They're treating this like a standard intimidation raid, not expecting real resistance. Lieutenant Torres looked up from his weapon station. The dreadnought is staying back while the smaller ships move in. Standard pirate doctrine. Let the expendable vessels take the risks while the valuable assets stay safe. Dr. Zalani watched the approaching ships with growing dread. Even the smallest pirate vessel was larger than the human ship that had saved them earlier. Captain, are you certain this plan will work? The energy requirements alone. Doctor, 3 hours ago you told me these crystal formations conduct energy with perfect efficiency across planetary distances. Captain Chen replied calmly. Your own research indicates they can store and amplify electromagnetic fields beyond anything in the standard galactic database. We're about to test your theories under extreme conditions. The communication system crackled to life as the pirate commander transmitted his demands. The voice belonged to a Corvin, but this one spoke with the authority of someone accustomed to commanding fleets rather than individual ships. Research facility. This is Warlord Krex of the Crimson Tide Confederation. You will immediately surrender all research data, technological samples, and personnel. Comply within 10 minutes, or we will destroy your facility and take what we want from the wreckage. Captain Chun activated the response channel with a smile that Dr. Zalani was learning to recognize as extremely dangerous. Warlord Krex, this is Captain Sarah Chun of the human vessel Defiant Response. The research facility is under the protection of the Colonial Defense Force. You are directed to withdraw from this system immediately. The pirate commander's laughter was harsh and dismissive. Human, I have reports from my advanced scouts. Your single ship destroyed several of my vessels, but you face a full Confederation fleet now. 37 ships against 1. Surrender now, and you may live to serve as slaves. Warlord, you seem to misunderstand the situation, Captain Shin replied, her voice carrying the kind of icy calm that made experienced predators nervous. You're not facing one ship. You're facing the entire planet. Before the pirate commander could respond, Captain Shin cut the transmission and turned to her crew. All stations, initiate Cascade Protocol. Dr. Zalani, you might want to step back from the windows. Petty Officer Kim's voice echoed through the command center from her position at the engineering station. Crystal network charged and ready. Energy flow at optimal levels. Cascade induction in 3 tone. The mountain beneath the research station began to sing. Dr. Zalani had studied the crystal formations for 3 years, but she had never heard anything like the deep, resonant tone that now rose from the planetary core. The sound wasn't audible in the traditional sense. It was felt a vibration that seemed to reach into her bones and resonate with her very cells. Through the observation windows, she watched in awe as the crystal formations across the valley began to glow. Soft blue light raced along the crystalline networks, jumping from one formation to another like neural impulses firing through a vast brain. The glow spread across the landscape, racing toward the horizon and beyond. Energy cascade propagating at light speed, Kim reported. Network integration at 90% and climbing. We're getting responses from crystal formations on 3 continents. The pirate fleet had begun its attack run, smaller ships diving toward the research station while launching missiles and energy weapons. But as the first wave of attacks reached the facility's coordinates, something unprecedented occurred. The mountain itself absorbed the incoming fire. Energy beams and explosive warheads struck the crystalline formations around the research station and simply vanished, their destructive force channeled away through the planet-wide crystal network. Instead of destroying the facility, the pirate attack was feeding energy into the very system the humans had spent hours preparing. Impossible, Vix whispered from her sensor station. The energy absorption rate is beyond anything in our theoretical models. The crystals are converting the attack energy and distributing it across the entire network. Captain Chin nodded with satisfaction. Doctor, your research was correct. These formations aren't just energy conductors. They're a planetary-scale energy management system. Every attack the pirates make is charging our weapon. Weapon? Dr. Zalani asked, though she was beginning to understand the magnitude of what the humans had accomplished. Lieutenant Torres, target solutions on the lead assault group, Captain Shin ordered. Targets acquired, Captain. Focusing array aligned with crystal network nodes 7 through 15. Fire when ready. The planet fired back. Lightning erupted from the crystal formations, but this wasn't the random electrical discharge of a natural storm. This was focused, controlled energy that lanced upward from the surface with the precision of a military targeting system. Beams of blue-white fire reached across space to touch the attacking pirate vessels, and where they struck, ships simply ceased to exist. The lead raider vanished in a flash of vaporized metal and plasma. A second beam caught a frigate attempting to change course, cutting through its hull like a blade through paper. A third discharge reached out to touch a fleeing cruiser, and the massive vessel broke apart under forces that overwhelmed its structural integrity. In the space of 30 seconds, 8 pirate ships had been reduced to expanding clouds of debris. Energy discharge at 12% of network capacity, Kim reported calmly. Crystal formations are cooling and preparing for the next cycle. Network integrity remains optimal. The remaining pirate fleet had stopped its attack and begun a hasty withdrawal to safer distances. Dr. Zalani could see the panic in their maneuvering. These were beings who had expected to face a defenseless research station, not a planetary defense system that could reach across space to swat ships from the void. The communications system activated again, and this time Warlord Krex's voice carried considerably less arrogance. "Human ship, what manner of weapon is this? Our sensors detect no artificial power sources, no weapon installations. The weapon is the planet itself," Captain Chun replied matter-of-factly. "You're attacking a living crystal network that spans continents. Every shot you fire gives it more energy to use against you. I suggest you consider withdrawal." "Impossible. No species has technology capable of weaponizing an entire world." "You're correct," Captain Chun said. "No galactic species has developed this capability. But humans don't think the way other species do. We see things differently." Dr. Zalani understood now what the human meant. The galactic community had advanced beyond warfare centuries ago, developing technology for peaceful exploration and scientific research. They had forgotten how to think like warriors, how to turn scientific discoveries into weapons of defense. Humans, raised on a death world where survival required constant adaptation and innovation, looked at the crystal formations and saw not just a subject for scientific study, but a potential tool for protection. They had taken 3 years of careful research and turned it into a planetary defense system in a matter of hours. The dreadnought finally began moving, its massive bulk accelerating toward the planet with weapons charging. Dr. Zalani felt her confidence waver. The smaller ships had been destroyed easily enough, but a military dreadnought was designed to withstand enormous amounts of damage. "Captain," she said quietly, "that ship was built to fight other military vessels. It has shields and armor specifically designed to absorb energy weapons." "I know," Captain Chin replied, "which is why we're not going to use energy weapons against it." She turned to Kim at the engineering station. "Petty officer, prepare for tectonic induction. I want a magnitude 7 seismic event centered on grid reference mark." Kim's fingers danced across her controls as she consulted geological surveys of the planet. "Captain, that's directly beneath the largest crystal formation on the northern continent. If we trigger seismic activity there, the entire northern crystal network will shift alignment and focus its energy output in a concentrated beam," Captain Chin finished. "A beam carrying the accumulated energy of a continental-scale crystal matrix." Dr. Zalani stared at the tactical display as she realized what the humans were planning. They weren't just using the planet's crystal network as a weapon. They were reshaping the planet's geology to create a weapon of unprecedented power. "Engineering, seismic charges are set and ready," Torres reported. "Tectonic induction in 10 seconds." The planet shuddered. Dr. Zalani felt the vibration through the soles of her feet as carefully placed explosive charges triggered a controlled seismic event hundreds of kilometers away. On the sensor display, she watched as seismic waves propagated through the planet's crust, causing crystal formations across an entire continent to shift their alignment. The energy buildup was visible from space as a blue glow that stretched across the northern hemisphere. Every crystal formation on a quarter of the planet's surface was now focused on a single point in space, the location where the pirate dreadnought would be in exactly 37 seconds. "Warlord Krex," Captain Chin transmitted, "last chance. Withdraw your fleet now." The dreadnought continued its approach, its commander apparently convinced that no weapon could penetrate its military-grade defenses. Dr. Zalani watched in horrified fascination as the massive ship moved inexorably toward the focused point of planetary energy. The planet's final shot was not a beam, but a column of pure force that reached from surface to space like the finger of an angry god. When it touched the dreadnought, the massive warship lasted exactly 2.3 seconds before its hull breached, and its reactor went critical. The explosion was visible from the research station as a new star that flared briefly against the darkness of space. The remaining pirate vessels fled. 6 days later, Dr. Zalani stood in the research station's main conference room, facing a delegation from the Galactic Council. The room had been hastily repaired after the battle, but scorch marks on the walls still testified to the violence that had occurred. 3 council representatives sat across from her, their expressions ranging from amazement to concern to barely concealed fear. Counselor Theron, an elderly Altarian whose blue skin had faded to pale silver with age, leaned forward in his chair. Dr. Zalani, we have reviewed the sensor logs from your research station, and, frankly, we are having difficulty accepting what they appear to show. The report suggests that humans somehow turned an entire planet into a weapon. That is correct, Counselor, Zalani replied calmly. Captain Shun and her crew used our research into the planetary crystal networks to create a defense system of unprecedented scope and power. Counselor Vash, a Nexari whose large eyes showed deep concern, spoke next. Doctor, do you understand the implications of what you are describing? If humans possess the ability to weaponize entire worlds, they represent a potential threat to every civilized species in the galaxy. Dr. Zalani had expected this reaction. The Galactic Council had maintained peace for over a millennium by ensuring that no single species possessed overwhelming military advantage. The idea of humans turning planets into weapons would naturally alarm them. With respect, Counselor Vash, I believe you misunderstand the situation, Zalani said carefully. The humans did not bring weapons to weaponize our planet. They used their knowledge and ingenuity to adapt our own research into a defensive system. The threat was not created by humanity. It was created by the pirates who sought to destroy our facility and steal our work. The third counselor, Jorik of the Saurian Confederation, consulted his data tablet before speaking. Our intelligence reports indicate that the human vessel Defiant Response was significantly outgunned by the pirate fleet. Standard tactical doctrine would have recommended withdrawal and a request for council military assistance. Instead, they chose to engage a superior force in defense of beings they had never met. This behavior pattern is unusual. Unusual how? Zalani asked, though she suspected she knew the answer. Most galactic species prioritize self-preservation and the safety of their own kind, Jorik explained. Risking one's life for strangers is not standard behavior among civilized peoples. It suggests either a fundamental lack of understanding regarding personal safety or a warrior mentality that could pose long-term security concerns. Dr. Zalani felt a flash of anger at the counselor's words. She had spent 6 days thinking about what had happened, about the humans who had risked everything to save her and her colleagues. The idea that their heroism was being characterized as a potential threat to galactic security offended her scientific objectivity. Counselors, she said, may I share my observations about humanity based on my interactions with Captain Shun and her crew? Counselor Theron nodded. Please proceed, Doctor. Your perspective as someone who witnessed these events firsthand is valuable to our assessment. Dr. Zalani activated the room's holographic display, showing images from the 6 days she had spent working alongside the human crew. The humans spent considerable time and effort studying our research not to steal it, but to better understand how they could protect it. They demonstrated scientific curiosity and respect for knowledge that equals that of any council species. The display showed Captain Shun and her crew working alongside the research team, sharing meals and discussing scientific theories with genuine interest. When the pirate fleet arrived, the humans immediately began planning not just for military victory, but for minimizing casualties on all sides. Their weapon system was designed to disable rather than destroy whenever possible. They gave the pirates multiple opportunities to withdraw peacefully. The next images showed the aftermath of the battle. Human crew members providing medical aid to injured pirates who had been pulled from the wreckage of their ships. Most importantly, Zalani continued, when the threat was eliminated, the humans immediately began helping us repair our facility and continue our research. They showed no interest in claiming our discoveries for themselves or demanding compensation for their assistance. Counselor Vash studied the images with obvious interest. You are suggesting that humans represent a protective rather than aggressive species? I am stating it as scientific fact, Zalani replied firmly. Counselor, I have spent my career studying various species and their behavioral patterns. Humans display classic guardian characteristics. They are naturally protective of those they perceive as vulnerable, willing to accept personal risk for the benefit of others, and capable of extreme violence in defense of those under their protection. She changed the display to show data from Earth's ecosystem and human evolutionary history. Consider their evolution. Humans developed on a world so hostile that most council species would classify it as uninhabitable. Zalani, what is your recommendation regarding humanity's integration into galactic society? The question hung in the air with obvious implications. The Council's assessment would determine whether humans were welcomed as equals, monitored as potential threats, or possibly even contained to prevent them from spreading their dangerous protective instincts. Counselors, Zalani said slowly, for over 1,000 years, the Galactic Council has maintained peace through deterrence and diplomacy. This has been remarkably successful, but it has also left us vulnerable to forces that exist outside our civilized society. Pirates, raiders, slavers, and other criminals prey on our peaceful nature. She gestured toward the images of the destroyed pirate fleet. Humans represent something we have never had before, a species that combines advanced technology with the instincts and capabilities needed to protect peaceful civilizations from those who would harm them. They are not a threat to galactic peace. They are its guardians. Counselor Vash spoke carefully. Doctor, you are recommending that we essentially authorize humans to act as galactic peacekeepers. I am recommending that we recognize what they already are, Zalani corrected. Captain Shun and her crew did not ask for permission to risk their lives protecting us. They did it because their nature compelled them to help those in need. The question is not whether humans will continue to act as guardians. They will. The question is whether the Council will work with them or fear them. The counselors exchanged glances that communicated volumes without words. Dr. Zalani could see them wrestling with concepts that challenged their fundamental understanding of galactic civilization. There is one more thing you should consider, she added. The crystal network that the humans helped us create is still active. We have learned to tap into a planetary-scale energy system that could revolutionize technology across the galaxy. But the knowledge of how to weaponize such a system now exists. Counselor Theron's pale blue skin grew even paler. You are saying that others could learn to duplicate what the humans accomplished. Pirates, raiders, hostile governments. Any group with sufficient scientific knowledge and few ethical restraints could potentially turn inhabited worlds into weapons. The defensive applications are obvious, but the offensive possibilities are terrifying. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. If the technology to weaponize planets spread to the wrong hands, the balance of power that had maintained galactic peace for a millennium could collapse overnight. Which brings me to my final recommendation, Zalani continued. Humanity should not be feared or contained. They should be embraced as partners. They have already proven their willingness to protect innocent life at great personal risk. In a galaxy where planetary weapons may soon exist, do we want those weapons controlled by species motivated by greed and conquest, or by species motivated by protection and justice? Counselor Jorik was the first to speak. You are asking us to trust our security to a species we barely know. No, Zalani replied. I am asking you to trust your security to a species that has already proven trustworthy. When humans heard our cry for help, they came. When they found us in danger, they protected us. When they could have claimed our discoveries, they helped us preserve them. What more evidence do you need? 3 hours later, Dr. Zalani stood on the research station's observation deck, watching the stars with Captain Chun beside her. The council delegation had departed, carrying with them a recommendation that would reshape humanity's relationship with galactic civilization. Do you think they'll accept the proposal? Captain Chun asked. I believe they will, Zalani replied. The logic is sound, and they are fundamentally rational beings. But, Captain, do you understand what accepting partnership with the Council will mean for humanity? Chun smiled, and this time the expression held warmth rather than predatory calculation. Doctor, humanity has been dreaming of the stars since before we could walk upright. The idea that we might serve as guardians for galactic civilization, it's not a burden. It's an honor. In the distance, the crystal formations continued their eternal glow, now serving as both monument to scientific discovery and reminder that sometimes, when friends call for help, it is the children of Deathworlds who answer. The galaxy was about to learn that some questions, the ones that really matter, are not answered by those who know the most, but by those who care the most about protecting others. And, in that regard, humanity had no equal among the stars.